You're welcome back to Afia TV News tonight, and our conversation segment, of course, centered around Emefiele and his cronies, which acquired 753 duplex estates with Forex Kickbacks, and that's a revelation by the Efcc. According to reports filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, they have linked the immediate past governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, to the massive Abuja property with 753 duplexes and other apartments located in the cadastral zone area of the capital city. The anti-graft agency on Monday announced the recovery of the property from an unnamed ex-government top brass, describing the property as the biggest single recovery it had made in the course of fighting corruption since its establishment in 2003. In the court documents obtained by reporters on Tuesday, the EFCC ran a narration linking Emefiele to the massive property spanning 150,500 square meters and identified as Plot 109 Cadastral Zone C09 Lokogoma District, Abuja. Emefiele is currently being prosecuted by the EFCC in 3 separate cases before different judges. He's been tried for procurement fraud, forgery of former President Muhammadu Buhari's signature, and other charges. According to the documents, Emefiele allegedly carried out monumental fraud as the CBN governor with his cronies to acquire several properties, including the estate. Well, joining me now to discuss further is Dr. Chikezie Obasi. He's the Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State Chapter. Good evening, Doctor. It's good to see you right here on Afia TV News.
Good evening, amazing Grace.
Great. All right. So what are your thoughts on the shocking revelation of the Emefiele looting, as the reports has aptly captured it as a monumental fraud? I guess it came to Nigerians as a shock because just whilst we were talking about the fraud that came, with the monies that were missing at the CBN, and now there's a huge one for him. So what's your take on that generally?
Honestly speaking, I was taken aback. I really had to, digest it. It was difficult for me to appreciate the fact that, a person could, of that status, could actually go that low, of crudely procuring such a quantity of buildings, which I can tell you, in more than 90% of the villages in Nigeria, you will see such buildings, And I began to wonder what was up in his mind. And I really come to the point, to understand, and for some of us who are Christians, that sometimes when you when you begin to love money, becomes the root of all evil. Why am I this surprised? First, during this Emefiele we are talking about, Nigeria was passing through hell of trouble. It was touted that we minted money, as if we are minting papers, bringing out money without values, worsening our economic crisis, making it so difficult, operating double Forex windows, where you perpetuate corruption. And the insatiability of wealth, because I call it insatiability, I think I begin to look at it from the point of psychiatry. For us in medical life, we might begin to look at this matter as if the person is, having some psychiatric tendencies, because where you do not understand that enough is enough, it becomes difficult. This is just one out of many, for features that have been linked to the man. And one begins to wonder how we going to see another, one ex-president of Nigeria, may he so rest in peace, ex-head of state, continuously forfeited money abroad, repatriated money, that we see this monumental corruption, 753 duplexes. What are you doing with this? I can tell you, amazing Grace, it was really difficult for me to understand.
Exactly. And a lot of people, like I kept asking one man, just one man, and of course you mentioned something really striking there. That's just one that's been revealed of so many. Right. But let's talk about something that seemed to also baffle lots of Nigerians was the fact that the EFCC chose to hide the identity for whatever reason that was. I think they also had to reply the letter that was written by Omoyele Sowore about this particular issue because sometimes some of these things are really swept, under the carpet. Why did it take so long for the EFCC to reveal the identity of, the person who had the estate?
No, I think that has to do with the tradition and culture of our information gathering mechanism. We've not come to the point where we throw things open. We are shrouded in secrecy, not just EFCC, so many agencies. I'll give you a typical example. Let me use my profession. Sometimes some of our colleagues will tell you that patient does not have the right to handle the folder. So you look at it from that perspective. We were groomed, and we grow in a society where things are managed within secrecy. So I don't have much problem there. I believe that the society, the EFCC is evolving. And by the way, part of the, evidences they gave in court, linking it was filed. They were all in the cases they filed in court. So I think it's just the tradition we have inherited over the years to shroud things in secrecy. But I don't think there is anything more to that because eventually there was no way one wouldn't have known who owns the building. So I think it's just a tradition that EFCC followed.
All right. So if we take that from you, but the one question that Nigerians would always ask is, what happens to this recovered loot? Because we always have series of reports by the EFCC as if to say they should be praised for doing their own job. But the big question is what happens after such reports? Is it relooted? Because sometimes you hear this kind of, amazing reports and we, the media, we talk about it. But, shortly after, it just dies away. So what exactly has happened to the loot that the EFCC has gotten so far? And what do we do with the ones that we're getting out? I hope, and some Nigerians are also asking the same question, that I hope these people, are not also going behind doors, to get these things to themselves. So what exactly happens? Because I've never recorded, I don't think anyone has recorded where the EFCC will say, okay, this is what has happened to what we got, from this particular person.
Okay, quickly, two things I have to say this way. Nigeria was described by a prime minister of Britain as being fantastically corrupt, and unfortunately, we live by such toga and we see it every day. We've had cases where what happened to recovered, loot unknown and is not transparently, disbursed. I think I will charge. Ideally, what should have happened is very simple. The Cadastral place was supposed to be mass housing estate. So I think the man has done Nigeria a favor to a reasonable extent, although that was through a looted fund. But I think Nigeria should be able to put up those structures for sale, quantify it, and people who have money should buy the and proceed, put back to CBN, and put back for good use of Nigeria. And that is what should happen there. And the EFCC and the federal government agency, which yes, will eventually hand over this property to, should be able to explain and follow up Nigerians, tell Nigerians exactly what has happened with those property. Let me give you a typical example. The property seized by EFCC, from a former governor in Enugu State, the property along Bisala Road, we saw it being handed over to this governor of Enugu State, the Pitamba. And we know clearly the government launched, opened up the place and said it's going to be an ultra-modern hospital of international repute, So many of us who are medical doctors went for that groundbreaking event. And we expect that when that such place is completed, it should be put for public use and not to be looted.
All right, so let's drift a bit, to the arrest and, of course, the remand of the popular human rights lawyer and activist Dele Farotimi, which is all over the news today. And of course, that's over his book that he wrote, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Do tell us a bit of what you think about that arrest there and the breaking news just towards this evening that he had been remanded in prison until December 10.
Yes, I think that let me be frank and honest with you. I think that's a good outcome. Why do I say it's a good outcome? It's a good outcome because it's going to put our court to test. I've heard a lot of lawyers indeed the complainant Baba Afe Babalola actually he's a senior highly respected lawyer in Nigeria, senior advocate of Nigeria, and with much respect. The delay he actually, used for me to risk is equally a lawyer. And many people have actually complained, talked about it, actually are lawyers. But one striking thing is very simple. Dele had actually sued the to court on libel. And I did not see that he was arrested then. So I'm not a lawyer, but I'm wondering why this particular matter had to go to the police. They're out of arresting. I felt that a libel suit should have been actually, would have gone to court straight away. The same happened between, remember, Very Dark Man now and Femi Falana. We didn't hear that Very Dark Man was arrested, but we heard that he had his day in court. So I think that is what should be done. And why do I say it is good it's happening? I think it has to test the robustness of our judiciary. Our lawyers has to come out clean and show evidence that the law should, be upheld. If for any reason that's an offense that shouldn't have actually, be prosecuted criminally, I think the court should be able to, to say so and make it a pronouncement that if you have a libel suit, you go straight and sue for libel and not to get involved, not to get police involved.
All right, we'll have to stop the conversation there because it's a developing story. And of course, we'll hook up with you again when we have more angles to that story. But we want to thank you profusely for finding time to join us tonight, Dr. Chikezie Obasi, Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State Chapter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
That's all we have for you right here on Afia TV News tonight, streaming live from Enugu, Nigeria. And on behalf of the entire production team, I am Amazing Grace Ajayi. Thank you so much for joining us and good night.